future pants. They're pants we're going to wear tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that. I guess we all have future pants. They're pants we're going to wear tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that.
What to do, people? We are in here for another episode of the Chill Hour. This one might be a little bit short. Depends on how I talk about the topic at hand, which by the topic at hand is MMOs. Before we get into that, the name of the game is Spyro Reignited Trilogy. Continuing on from the very first episode. As I said before, well, I'll keep repeating this. It'll get shorter and shorter as time goes on. The aim of the Chill Hour is to do thought-provoking talk, chat with those that are in the live chat. That's Twitch. Talking about things that are on my mind or I've thought about recently, or things that I do want to talk about. The game in the background is nothing more than that, a background. Nothing to really worry about except the main focus. The main focus is the topic at hand. It's the top. So I won't be too focused on the game. If I am, I will probably be doing some kind of like expert maneuver or how pro gamer move. But other than that, I'm just merely focusing so I can progress. In any case, the topic at hand, MMOs, or more of a MMO retrospect. Simply because in the past several months actually, or I should say the past half a year or even last year and started, that the MMO landscape has started to really change. They're talking about World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 14, and the slew of new MMOs that are on the horizon. Ashes of Creation, and I believe that's what it's called, Ashes of Creations, and New World. I've looked at Ashes of Creations, I've looked at New World, I watched other people play New World, and looking at everything, it's kind of something to see. And looking at WoW in general and how it's really almost at its lowest, not its lowest, but it's getting pretty low because of what the developers have done. Listen to player feedback, seeing how WoW has changed from what it used to be. Something more of akin to like a proper MMO, well, not a proper MMO, but more of being one of the biggest MMOs of all time, and falling from sort of its grace because of all the changes that the developers have made. Some of the things that I've heard were things talking of pay to win, the WoW tokens, boosting services, everything in that regard. And then there's been a increasing decrease in the population have been decreasing this whole time. And where is the MMO population of WoW going? Where are all the hardcore WoW fans going? What MMO are they looking to seek to play next? And that MMO is not surprisingly, Final Fantasy 14. It's they're finally getting a fresh look, a fresh take on another MMO. And Final Fantasy 14, the game, their entire community has like accepted them, and they're kind of happy for it. I've been watching videos, and they are kind of happy making this. Most of them are happy of making this change, seeing what a new MMO has to offer, what other MMOs are doing that World of Warcraft isn't doing. And I played Final Fantasy 14 a few years back before even the first expansion was out. I did the trial period, the first expansion was out. I did the trial period to where you could level your character, the free trial period where you could level your character to 1 to 40 or 50, if I remember correct, without a subscription. And I did it, and I enjoyed my time. Nice quest progression. The story was fantastic to read, to listen to. The voice acting was phenomenal. I could follow everything in the game. And I don't play it now because unfortunately my computer cannot really support the game. It's too graphically intensive, too much on my CPU on my laptop to even play. So unfortunately, I won't be able to enjoy the full Final Fantasy 14 experience, even though a lot of my friend groups, they play the game, not religiously. They used to play it religiously, but they did have their fun time with the game. And I do miss playing an MMO now that my laptop isn't really up to snuff, nor is my internet connection. My ISP really can't afford to even facilitate playing an MMO properly. It's too much lag on my end. Everything is just about my setup, my hardware, and I can't really do much about it for the time being. Maybe a few years down the line it'll get better for me and I can finally play an MMO on my hands. But other than that, there's not really a present time to where I can actually play an MMO. But I do try to keep up with the news on the MMO scenes and seeing where everything goes. Now, there is a little bit of a caveat to the whole thing. One MMO that I still can play and I still have fun to play is called DFO, Dungeon Fighter Online. Or if you're part of or you want to go for a Korean name, Dungeon Infighter. That game, not too intensive on my computer, and I can play it, have fun. It's just a phenomenal game. 2D side-scrolling action beat-em-up RPG. It does have PvP if you really wanted to. It is a Korean MMO, but it also was brought over to Western Shores thanks to Nexon. And thanks to Nexon, I played that game like it was no tomorrow. It was hard it was kind of difficult to grasp at first, but then afterwards you just like, oh, this is so cool, this is so fun. Multiple classes that had multiple subclasses. And really, I could not put that game down when I was a kid. So going from that angle, another MMO that I did play religiously that my computer at the time could handle was Rift. and I didn't start playing Rift religiously until it actually went free to play. Fun fact, Rift was actually a subscription-based MMO starting out. And from what I heard from my free to play days, that it was still a pretty good MMO contender. Not a contender against WoW, but it was still like a good contender, like a proper MMO game if you really didn't want to do a paid subscription to WoW. And I can attest to that. It was a really fantastic MMO. I could care a little bit less about the story, but I was really there for the RPG aspect, the class system. It had your base classes: warrior, rogue, I think it was called the wizard or mage, cleric, and each of them had their subclasses. They called them souls. And what you were able to do is that you were able to take 3 subclasses, 3 souls, mix in and level them up. And as you level up your base character, you could choose which souls that you wanted to take. So for instance, if you went wizard, some of the souls that you could take were pyromancer, chloromancer, storm chaser, dominator, necromancer, warlock, just to name a few. I don't think warlock was one, but just naming those souls like off the top of my head. And Archon was another one. And you pick out of those souls, you pick 3 of them. You level them up however you want them to be, and as you level up through the souls, you gain those class skills and passives. So you were truly able to make your own unique wizard. No 2 wizards would be the same, even though you had the same pool of souls to choose from. Like you could spend, I'd say 30 point. One wizard would spend 30 points in the necromancer, 20 in the pyro, 10 in the dominator, while another one would pick 40 in the storm chaser and 12 in another. It really didn't matter kind of what souls you picked. It was truly a MMO for you to, what's your flavor? What kind of flavor that you want to take? The PvP was honestly pretty... To compare PvP from WoW to Rift, I like the PvP in Rift. It just gave me a option to go, yo, I can like do something in PvP. There was no tight, I believe it's 3v3, 4v4s, and the PvP setting. It was mostly capture the flag and a domination slash type of capture the flag type of thing, and those modes were fun. It was a massive, I believe it was 20 versus 20. I don't remember the full aspects, but anyway, it was at least a lot of people on both sides fighting it out, and that was fun, trying to heal people or trying to deal damage at the same time. Of course, all good things must come to an end, really. And Rift was kind of, as Rift starts to age and live on, once it got better and better, and the free to play model started to look very appealing to a lot of people, and a lot of people started to surge in, they kind of had to, start making changes and seeing what more they can do. And I believe it was the let me remember. I believe it was when after what's her name? There was a boss. She was the Storm Queen. I think it's a Storm Queen, Storm Legion, one of those things. But anyway, after her expansion, I think is when things started to falter. The Plane of Water update. I should also say the lore of Rift is where you either play as part of two factions. You play as the good or the quote-unquote evil. Either way, both of you converge together in order to both factions start to unite one another to be, greater things and beyond. And things that happen are called rifts from different elemental planes: dark, fire, water, life. I should say that's the element life. And you would see these rifts in the world. You could open the tears, start a sort of like a mini raid within the world. People can get together and try to seal the rift, getting some rewards from it and whatnot. And one of the big updates was the Plane of Water, where you took the fight to the elemental plane of water. And in doing so, it was the first part of the plane was entirely underwater, which is pretty cool. Doing a lot of underwater fighting. Afterwards, you got on to sort of the realm, the plane of water itself, walking on land, finding all these different sea creatures, and then got into the theme of nightmares and things of the mind. That was pretty cool. But the things that were looming over the game itself was a shift to paying for gear within the cash shop. Primarily, the cash shop was just mainly for XP boosts and platinum boosts, just to help you get money, in-game money. But now it was also, you could pay real money to buy raid gear from the cash shop, and that's where it all started to go down. Really quite unfortunate after that. I still kept playing as much as I could, but afterwards I fell off a Rift because I think at the time around my life was really catching up to me, college and other things, and I was kind of sad that I fell off a Rift. Like, I was primarily a solo player in MMOs in general to begin with, but in Rift I had that urge and feel to do dungeons and raids, so I had to join a guild and try not to hurt myself doing pickup pug groups. Pugs, I should say. Pug is P-U-G, pickup group itself, so I shouldn't say pug groups, it's pickup, or just say pugs. Anyways, so I did join several guilds, and it was also a good experience joining guilds. Like, I learned how to properly move and DPS at the same time, how to rotate my skills. Like, I remember trying to be in rotation for some of the groups and raids in the in my for the game, and I had to pass a DPS check, like a internal DPS check, because the guild houses, you could go into a portal, and you could make these dummies to where you could start, trying to simulate how much damage you could do within a certain amount of time. And when I did that, I had to pass three tests. The first one was actually no, it wasn't 3, it was 2. The first test was the DPS check while I was standing still for, I think, a minute. I would show how much DPS I could output within that minute. Not only was it a DPS check, it was also, I should say a DPS check, it was a gear check. He was trying to see how much damage I could output. I believe I did not pass the first one. He didn't tell me it then, but at the end I knew I didn't pass the first one. The second test was a DPS check while moving, and to facilitate that, he told me that I would have to move every, was it 3 seconds? I couldn't stay still for more than 3 seconds, so I had to keep moving. And that was to facilitate doing DPS on the move, because of course in some raids you would have to move and DPS at the same time. That facilitates doing raid mechanics. And no matter what I did, I could not pass the gear check, and so I was stuck with still doing dungeons and not raids for the time being, until I got the proper gear in order to really pass the check. And when I did, oh boy, was I happy. No longer would I have to be judged because of my gear. But it made sense. Yes, I did feel sad, but at the same time, it motivated me to, okay, now I actually need to do hugs in order to get the gear. Not only doing that get me the gear, but also like educate me on mechanics. And lo and behold, when I got the gear and I was ready to go, I passed. I took the gear check once more. I was properly in line with the DPS, and the raid leader was like, "All right, you're good to go." I was like, "Okay." And with that, I started raiding, and I was pretty much a good average raider. I wouldn't say I was top. I did my part. I studied the raids themselves beforehand, watching videos, just so I wouldn't need explanation. But it was also good to have a refresher, just in case if anybody needs to ask. So does anybody need to explain the mechanics? If everybody says no, or there's silence, we're all good to go. Just get it going. And that was honestly Rift in a nutshell. I did come back to Rift at some point, but unfortunately it really just fell off for me due to life changes, buying console games, and among other things that were just out of my control. Also, anime. That was another thing. I also started getting more and more more invested in anime than ever before. But honestly, I would have loved to play Rift again. I did hear things of a Rift Classic, and I did not get into that because at that point I just thought I'm kind of already out of sync in tune to Rift, so there's no need for me to continue on with that.
Mission accomplished. It's great to have you back, sir.
And just thinking about Rift in general, and thinking about MMOs in general, how much they've upgraded, you kind of start to wonder how we got here, and what are the people's expectations. And what I truly believe is that the expectations of a good MMO, or like the standards for a quote unquote good / decent MMO, have really risen over the years. I truly believe that Final Fantasy XIV is one of the best, if not the best, MMO to play, and it has done its part. It has really set itself apart from everything else, and for better or for worse, it did raise the standards of an MMO. And looking at that, and looking at New World, I have to wonder how long New World is going to last, because me looking at New World, looking at the combat, and looking at the general things around it, okay, combat is okay. Action MMO, alright. I can kind of see where we're going here. And then it boasts a craft system. Okay, craft system. Alright. UI looks amazing. I'll give it that. And then we get to the talk of... And then I got to see a raid, a dungeon run itself. And after looking at it, I was like, wow. This is it? I know the game, it's like the game, I believe it's in beta? Or something like that, it's in beta, something like that? I can't remember. But in any case, just looking at it, it's like, wow. This game doesn't look like it's been made by Amazon, really. I would make a joke to my other people saying like, yeah, New World, new MMO, looks great. Environment also looks fantastic, not gonna lie. I'll give it credit there. Our environment, setting, cities, they all look amazing. And then it just kind of just falls off for me. I'm pretty sure that if I actually played it for real, I would, have my fun for a time, but then afterwards I would be like, yeah, New World isn't doing it for me. And I'll say this. It is a very good looking MMO. It seems to have decent combat. But I have to wonder its longevity. What kind of impact it could do to the MMO landscape now that Final Fantasy is pretty much gonna be at the forefront. And even though I'm like bagging and dogging it, I hope it succeeds. I hope it actually gets better. I hope there's a few changes and whatnot that makes everybody happy, that makes the game more interesting than it already is. Because I, for one, want more MMOs, new MMOs. I love JRPGs, and I love MMOs just for the social aspect of them, and some of the classic class and intricacies than the MMO provides. MMOs are the reason why I have an affinity for mages and magic in general. And MMOs are also the reason why I can be as social as I already am. Because I really have fond memories of past MMOs. Speaking of past MMOs, my very first one, if anybody who's listening to this as a podcast on YouTube or here in chat, first one was a good old game called Adventure Quest. I forgot the name of the developer, but it was a browser-based MMO. We really call it an MMO. No, you could call it an MMO, right? Nah, it kind of doesn't fit the MMO category. It doesn't fit the online RPG aspect. You didn't really interact with people in Adventure Quest. Pretty much it was just you. But that game was fun. Playing that in middle school. Sometimes I would just go to, if there was nothing else to do in class, I would seriously get on one of the computers, load up Adventure Quest, and go to town. I even went to town at home. I even did it at home as well. And just spending non-stop hours playing the game. Then after that, I wanted to broaden my perspective on games in general. Once I got a computer for myself. No, I didn't get a computer for myself yet. I was still trying to just play games in general. And I believe the first set of games on like a website or portal that you would download, play, and install was a website called Ijji for me. IJJI. On that website, it had, would you call it a publisher? No, I wouldn't call it a publisher. It was just more effective. It was like a portal or like a hub for all those games. And hold on. Let me actually go back. Hold on. I really gotta wait. No. Before we get to Ijji, there was RuneScape. I'm not talking about the first RuneScape. I'm not talking about the first RuneScape. I'm talking about what is now called old school RuneScape. That RuneScape, that was my jam for a really good long time. And I've got so many stories in RuneScape because, I was a kid and unfortunately I fell for some of the most basic scams. Won't get into that really. But I guess I could for another time for stories. But RuneScape, that was my very first MMO, first true MMO, and I played that for hours on end, days on end, weeks, months, and then I found Nexon, and on Nexon I found MapleStory. MapleStory opened my world to the true social aspect of MMOs. Yes, old school RuneScape did have another social aspect where you would just go around, talk to people, help them out with whatever they wanted to do. I was a free to player, never paid a subscription for it. I never became a member / paid a subscription for it because I never saw a need to or really wanted to be honest. Didn't much care much for it. But MapleStory opened me up to the true social aspect of what an MMO was. I was in it for the gameplay, the combat. And it didn't hit me for a very, very, very long time that MapleStory was truly like one of its kind, to be honest. Yes, it was a MMO. Yes, you could do combat and do things with classes and whatnot. But what you truly there for was the social aspect, talking with people, interacting with people, hanging out with them. Yeah, you could do quests and combat with them. But what you really wanted to do was walk around town, converse with people, make friends, try on new outfits, trade with other people, make families, guilds, and among other things. And it really was like a very foreign thing to me because I was a solo player. Much of those things didn't make sense to me as far as like trying to like interact with people. I would interact with people if I needed help with something or trying to complete a quest and whatnot. And it was also my first time trying to play a MMO where grinding was a real thing. And I kind of enjoyed the grinding aspect of an MMO. Some people aren't about the grind, but I was. It was like a nice set of accomplishments for me. Is what I truly felt like. And then going from there, how long did I play MapleStory for? I played MapleStory for quite a long time, to be honest. Because, like I said, it was like very true and first MMO. I have very fond memories of it, and I didn't put it down. And then Nexon was pretty much my thing, or like my site to do things. And then here we can get to Iggy. Iggy and then Nexon. Both of those hubs were the two that I popped between the most because it had everything that I needed. Nexon and MapleStory. At the time, it had a MapleStory. There's more that Nexon gave me, but for now, gave me MapleStory. Iggy gave me Guns the Duel. If anybody remembers that. I remember that. Guns the Duel, a sort of PvP centric MMO where skill was the name of the game. After that, I did have a thing with shooters, but those aren't MMOs, so we're not gonna get too much into that. But Gun to Duel, you could really technically argue that as a PvP MMO type of thing. After Guns the Duel, there was a few other things that I was enamored with on Iggy, but none of them were really MMOs. And then the next, yeah, that was that it? Yeah, I think that was it. I believe the next MMO that was truly another cool thing was Audition. Audition was a rhythmic based dancer MMO. Basically, what you would do is that you would play a song. Well, you would enter a lobby with other people. You pick a song, you dance to the song. By dance, how you dance to the song is there's a certain BPM every song have. You would input the arrow keys and you would press the space bar at the end of it once you inputted all of the keys in order to properly successfully do the move. Honestly, it was more social than anything. But like I said, MMOs are about that social aspect to them. And I enjoy that social aspect, and this Audition gave it to me. I met a whole lot of people. And because Audition was part of Nexon, you would find people who played MapleStory on there, and you would make new friends. Go figure. And that's going to be a common theme between all of Nexon's games. Nexon was kind of like a king of all these MMOs because it had so many. It had MapleStory, it had Audition. The next one it had, I believe, was Dragon Nest. I think Dragon Nest was next. Dragon Nest, another MMO, and it was instance-based. Pick a class, go down subclasses, very actiony. Similar, I think it was the precursor to Terra. Don't quote me on that. But I did enjoy that game as well. I played the heck out of that game, and lo and behold, when I played Dragon Nest, I also met other people who play MapleStory, make those connections, started having fun. I was still a solo player at the time, but whoever I made friends with on MapleStory, I would make friends on with the other games. And like I said before, Audition, also same thing. After we had our fill on Dragon Nest, people were like, yo, you want to play Audition together? It was like, okay, cool. Hey, yo, you want to play MapleStory for a bit? You know, hang out for a while in there? You're gonna say, yeah, sure. Oh, I got this cool new outfit on MapleStory. You want to see? Yeah, sure, why not? Yo, I bet I could beat you at this song on Audition. Yo, you want to throw it out? Yeah, let's go. And it's that reciprocal effect between all three games. It really got me. And then Dungeon Fighter Online came, and eventually, I don't think Dungeon Fighter Online came then. No, I do it then. And then a real big thing hit, and I mean a big thing, a big MMO that really changed my life a few times. Mabinogi. Mabinogi and MapleStory combined truly gave me an experience that I would love to experience again. Two MMOs that were different, both of them highly social, but also you had the fun of playing an RPG at the same time. I have so many stories of MMOs, even though I couldn't get world first, even though I didn't pay for a whole lot of things like cosmetics or boosts. I still have fun, and all the friends and people that I made during the time, I really wish I could meet them again or do everything again. And after that, then came Dungeon Fighter Online. And after Dungeon Fighter Online, I kind of was at my peak. Mabinogi, Maple Story, Dungeon Fighter, Audition, took everything in. Then Big Dixis came along as well years later, and that was also just another action MMO that I played, solo player, and then everything just recycled itself, reciprocated, and those are good times. Sure, each game had their own faults, but it made sense, or each of them were still fun. Maple Story, after a while, nobody would really help you or anything, or like everybody would get to a point to where they kind of just don't notice you anymore, or everybody just moved on. Like I remember in Maple Story, what were the hot spots? In the beginning, it was Carrying City. Then it moved to I can't remember that. I can't remember the city's name. It's the city where the archer gets their class. Where the archer meets to get their class things. Herring City. And then after that, it moved on to another city, and that one I don't remember. But you can see how just I've been around for a long time. Mabinogi, same thing. In the beginning, it was Tir Chonel. Then once everybody started to get better and move on, next up it was Dunbarton, if I remember correctly, if that's the name of the second city. After Dunbarton, no, Dunbarton was just still like the main city for the longest time. Even when the game expanded, getting two new areas, getting a huge new area, a new continent. And Mabinogi is still updating to really my surprise. But honestly, I would love to go back to Mabinogi. I will honestly go back to all of those games. And I did. For each and every one of them, I did go back. But unfortunately, I didn't stay for long because I have a very terrible problem of not progressing because I feel like I'm behind, if that makes sense. It's the feeling that when I start out, I'm not gonna see anybody for a long time until I get the max level and I get to like the other next town. But yeah, a good example would be the time that I came back to, we'll say Maple Story. Yeah, I came back to I fell off of Maple Story because, other games and life. But when I fell off, I came back. I came back when Zero, the twins, that class came. And I started doing some events, started doing some other classes, and doing some power leveling. And I saw how much the game has changed. And I tried to do all that I could. And after a while, I was just like, that's pretty much it, right? Because in the beginning, I had my friends. I had groups, I had people that I could talk to. But when I did my second coming, there was nobody else. I sold bosses. I did my grinds. I did my dailies. I did my boss rushes. And it was just me and nobody else. but I was like, alright, that's okay, I guess.
That's okay. It didn't hurt as much as it looked. Let's try again. Thanks. Let's go.
Let's see. So what house was there for me? Let's see. There was yeah, it was Maple Story, Mapinogi, those games. Sorry, I was doing a little bit of focus here. I forgot I need to protect this little girl from getting smacked by hockey boys. But let me think. After those games, I didn't go on a hiatus, but there was
I guess one of the judges didn't like it though. He threw this egg at me instead of a rose. Why don't you have it?
what was after Itchy and Nexon? Actually, now that I think about it, Itchy did stop being another hub. So after Itchy stopped being another hub and Nexon just started being money grubbing people, I just kind of fell off of other things because my friends left and others. My friends left for other things, and so I don't want to say I was left to fend for myself, but I was kind of left I was to do my own devices and other things. So I was like, okay, time for me to explore and other things, and that's how I came upon Rift and the other big MMOs. And before I came upon Rift, the free-to-play Rift, I was hunting for something new. I was hunting for a new MMO, and I started playing some of these offhanded MMOs that really didn't make sense. Let's think. I played Ion, didn't like that because it was, I guess, one thing was too much for my PC, and another thing, the first impressions just wasn't there. Another MMO that I tried to play was EverQuest, even though I believe EverQuest was the homework and things of that nature. EverQuest was before my time, so I really couldn't do anything for that. So unfortunately, EverQuest fell off for me. Lineage also fell off for me. Honestly, a lot of the MMOs that you could probably name just really fell off for me because, darn, it just really didn't suit my taste. And you could say I was really just a picky person for any MMO, and I think that's fine for anybody. It's okay to be picky. It's okay to, choose what you want. But MMOs back then were very, I don't want to say very simple. It was a very simple time back in my day. Yeah. It was a simple time back then. And thinking about then and now, oh my god, I actually fell off again. Thinking about then and now, if Final Fantasy 14, I should say this, I didn't play Final Fantasy 11. I didn't know Final Fantasy 11 existed. I thought it was like a myth. And by the time I figured out what Final Fantasy 11 was, I was like, oh, it was kind of like just dead in the water. So I kind of just didn't care for it, which is unfair for it, but it is what it is, you know. What am I thinking? I just didn't find another MMO for the longest time. I'm trying to remember what was like the another proper MMO that I played. Okay, I remember. So, in one of my friend groups, there's another friend of mine who's also passionate about MMOs. And we both went on a very long, like, spiritual journey, soul finding of trying to find an MMO that both of us could play, or an MMO that all of our friends could play. And like I said, we went through a lot. We went through probably the kitchen sink on everything. I can't remember all of them, but I will say the most notable ones. The one that he was into, but the one I wasn't into that much, because he kind of also fell off of it. The Secret World. That one, I would say was like a really good MMO, but I think it was kind of just played with being casted into obscurity, among other things. But I believe that you know what? That's a very interesting thought I just had. I would like to say the Secret World was ahead of its time. I think if the Secret World came out now, I think it would be the perfect point. Because not only was its class structure and things about it was cool, the concept and ideas behind everything were spectacular. You know what I think? I really do truly believe that Secret World, now thinking about it now, came out pretty early. I think if developers waited long enough, they would have had a pretty spectacular MMO on their hands. One that would pretty much rival WoW and could, in fact, well, maybe not even compete with Final Fantasy 14. Not compete with it, but they coexist with it. Everything would be okay. Blade and Soul, that was a fun game, but unfortunately my computer can handle it. Some of these other ones, some of these offhanded ones that really had a quote unquote cult following. Fiesta Online, that was fun. Fly for Fun, Fly FF, that one was another fun one. Grindy, but still fun. Ooh, what else was there? Luna Online, those type of games, they were kind of on my radar, but not really. After I tried them, I was like, kind of not for me. But still, they were fun. What else am I thinking of? Ooh, I think those weren't. I don't think that's all of the MMOs, but those are pretty much close to the ones that I can remember that are, yeah, MMOs. Oh, you know, I will also say this. Going back to WoW a little bit. I did play WoW. I played the trial version, the free version. And my verdict, I could see why people like it, but I also say it's not for me. That's my thing. I see why you love it, but it's not for me. Not saying it's bad or anything. It just wasn't for me. And that's probably because I already had my big MMO fills kind of handled already. And you know, the times changed and expectations also changed with it too. Oh god, I did not mean to say twoo. But in any case, expectations for a lot of people change. So I think now, if you wanna compete in the MMO scene, you gotta do things that Final Fantasy 714 does. You don't have to do everything, but you gotta look at them and be like, why are they successful? Why do people like that game? Ah, okay. Let's see if we can implement that in the game. And if you do, I guarantee your MMO is gonna be fantastic, and it's gonna live the test of time. That's what I think. And you know, hey, we just kind of need those new MMOs anyway. So with that, kind of looking ahead in time, as I said, I hope New World does get better, does have the following that it needs in order to succeed. I hope Amazon looks to its quote-unquote competitors, see what they're doing, see what's making them successful, and then apply it to New World. And hopefully that game becomes the best that it could really possibly and truly and should be, because it's Amazon. And I was watching a video that made the joke of New World, it's an MMO, it's a decent one, but it doesn't feel like $1 trillion MMO or an MMO made by $1 trillion company, you know? It just has what it needs and a little bit more, but not what it could have. Its potential is just being squandered. And that is pretty much everything that is like my retrospect on the MMOs itself. From the time that I started and from the time that I'm looking at things now, as cheesy as it may be, kind of wish I was back in the old days and everything was grinding, when everything wasn't like too simple. I mean, there are those grinding things, you can play them, but man, I think if new MMOs now just took a look back in time to see what made old MMOs good, I think we'd be in a better. I think MMOs today would be in a better spot.
You're kidding, right? She nearly toasted you. Yeah, but she was aiming at you.
Yeah.
That's it.
Of course, I could say Final Fantasy 14 doesn't need that kind of help. It's kind of already there. But Ashes of Creation.
It's a good thing for you Hunter was around.
I hope that one does good.
Oh, sure you can.
I think, yeah, that's another thing. Looking at MMOs now, or not MMOs now, but future MMOs, like MMOs in like their alpha or beta stages. I'm afraid. I'm afraid for them. I'm afraid of developers saying that they can do this or they want to do that. Saying too much and not delivering on them. And I think that this also falls in line with the expectations. Cause what us MMOers, us players want, we just want this, we want that. And the developers have to try to deliver on all those things. And in order for them to get like their name out on the spot, they have to describe their game. They have to, say what it is, what it's about, and the features and offers that they can. And what I believe a lot of them do is they shoot themselves in the foot, promising this and that. There is one MMO that I followed and I thought was cool in the beginning, but then afterwards it was just kind of very lackluster. I forgot the name of it, but it was a game where you could truly be any class as you wanted to be. You could do anything that you want. You could mix and match any tank class, any cleric, healing class, any damage dealing class, and you just go from there. And while in fact I think it was a decent MMO, I believe its philosophy of like a true open world PvP aspect wasn't good. I mean, sure, you had your own law system. We were like, okay, if you attack this player without any and they didn't give you any consent, or attack the player for no reason in these places, you could be put in jail for it. I was like, okay, this is cool, but I don't think it's doing enough for me,
You can also move quickly by pressing the charge button, like Spyro. Use your charge to chase down this fast enemy. Now for the hard part. Being a maneuverable dragonfly, you can also strafe in any
but
strafe. Hold down the roll
this
left
geek.
or roll right button.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I say about them most, to be honest.
Targets in this room. On your travels, you'll notice butterflies that give you help, just like in the Dragon
But
Forest.
in all honesty,
Not only that, but
this week,
butterflies will give you
been a good
special
week.
powers, though only
Can't
for a
complain.
short time. Just eat any power-up butterfly, then press the jump button to use
I actually streamed a lot this week too. A lot of Pokemon Unite. Yeah, Pokemon Unite is kind of the big thing now. Pokemon Unite is a fun game.
Looks like you're ready, Sparks. If you need any more guidance, just choose the controls option from the pause menu.
Oh boy, I'm yawning. That means I need to sleep. Okay, I do need to sleep. Well, I'll finish out Sparks' little thing in this. We'll call it then. But I will say, for those who are watching this on YouTube or listen to it to YouTube on the podcast, if you got time, let me know what MMOs that y'all played, or what was the biggest thing that y'all played in your time. Because honestly, I don't even remember like half the MMOs that I played. I played a lot. Not gonna lie, I played a lot. I was a fiend, especially during like my discovery slash hunger for like something new. Like I played some strange things, and some that were quote unquote like some of the best. It just didn't sit well because I thought, yeah, it's there, but like, why? You know? It's like I don't understand. I don't understand why you would think like this game is amazing, if anything. And, you know, who am I to say? Who am I to know? I'm just a simple boy. I'm like, everything's just subjective, honestly. What's good, what's bad. I'm gonna spiral the dragon. Ooh, the boss. I think I shoot the rockets, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's fine. We're good. Well, I have a detail on sparks. By the way, dragonflies are amazing. The adventure continues. Indeed it does.
Nice work, Sparks. You've beaten the Crawdad King and found the lost egg. Not only that, but some of the dragon magic seems to have rubbed off on you. Now you can pick up gems when they're even further away from Spyro.
Alright. So, we're gonna let this be it for the third episode of the Chill Hour. Kinda this would be a short one. I think most one. Oh wait, never mind. This one was almost as long as the other ones. The other ones were like an hour 30, a little bit more. Yeah, well, one of them was close to 2 hours, but this one was close to at least an hour, hour and a half. So not bad, not bad, not bad. But anyways, I just want to thank anybody and everybody who came in to chat, just chilled. If you wanted to vibe, if you just want to listen to me ramble on, And for those who are listening out on YouTube or watching on YouTube, thank you for watching and listening. If there's a game that you want me to play on the Switch that you want to see in the background, I can do that for you. Or there's a topic that you want me to talk about and discuss, please leave a comment in the discussions and we'll go from there. But until then, I hope you guys have a good day, good night, good evening, noon, wherever you are in the world, whatever time zone that you're in. And I hope that your day that you're having is swell. If not, I hope the next day that you have is awesome. Because everybody needs a good day in their life. This is a chill hour. I've been Zizun. I hope y'all have a good one. Peace.